What's up? Do you have any idea what time it is? No, not 2:30. 3:30. Yeah. Oh. No, it's fine. I'm up now. What do you need? A ride or something? Oh, ghost hunting again. I should have known. Sorry, it's just that, I don't believe in ghosts. And I'm not really a fan of you wandering around abandoned places at 3 in the morning. Oh, yeah, I know it's your hobby and you really enjoy it. Anyway, you called me for a reason. What's up? You saw one? A ghost? You found an abandoned warehouse near the outskirts, and you say you saw the ghost of a man there. What happened? A ghost of an old man with a mangled arm? He was just standing there, but then you went to pick something up, and he came after you? Are you sure it wasn't just some homeless guy? You could see right through him, and when you closed the door on him, he reached straight through it? He chased you until you reached the fence, but then stopped and immediately vanished. And your EM sensor was going off the whole time, but then calmed down the second you left? If it was anyone else telling the story, I wouldn't have believed you, but since it is you... Anyway, you left, right? Why are you calling me? You're still there? Why? After something like that, shouldn't you go home? You have to investigate this. Listen, that sounds dangerous. You shouldn't... I know I said I'd come with you next time if you could find proof of ghosts, but I just didn't think... Listen, I'll come with you next time anyway, so please stay safe and go home. Fine, if you insist. I do owe you one favor. But if I do this for you, promise me you'll leave the warehouse. What do you need? You called me to look something up for you? You have a phone. No Wi-Fi signal, huh? Alright, fine. What did you want to look up? Alright, hold on. Huh, that's odd. The address isn't coming up. Are you sure that's right? Okay, yeah, that's what I typed in. But Google keeps redirecting me to a different address for some reason. Here, I'll try using Street View and heading there manually. Let's see, the nearest street I can click on is here, and... Alright, let's... Whoa. No, I found it, but the whole building is blurred out for some reason. Like, the image isn't loading. Everything else around it is clear, but the building's the only thing that's blurred out. I don't think I'll be able to look up anything like this. Can you give me anything else that isn't an address? Neostar? That sounds like a company name. Okay, give me a minute. That's odd. I still can't find anything. Neostar doesn't have any records on it. I can't find any images. I don't even see anyone talking about it. Hold on, let me see if there are any public records. Okay, I found something. Zoning records, construction permits, tax records for the warehouse. It looks like it was constructed, owned, and operated by a company called Neostar. Apparently, they're a company that sells electronics online. It looks like that was a distribution warehouse, mostly used for shipping purposes. They seemed to stop operations 3 years ago for an unstated reason, and left it abandoned. Apparently, they still own the property and haven't sold it yet. No, I'm not seeing any records about a death here, which is really odd. Even if it was accidental, there should still be a record in the police report. But the building's not old enough to have a history stretching back before the public records. I don't know. If it really was a ghost, I don't think they died at the warehouse. Well, I know that's typically how ghosts work in stories, but to be fair, even if you did see what you said you saw, how do you know all ghosts work like that? Maybe this one's just a wanderer or something. Okay, fine. You're the expert here. But if he was killed there and it wasn't reported, maybe his death was covered up? Yeah, I'm looking. Hold on. I found something. An old deleted post on a defunct Ghost Stories website. It mentions a Neostar warehouse. Want me to read it to you? Okay, here goes. I don't know if this is the place to post this, but I've tried to make numerous anonymous reports to the police and they haven't taken me seriously. I don't want to lose my job, so I can't go into details, but this whole nightmare started 2 years ago and I just wanted some sort of closure. At the time, I worked for a Neostar distribution center about 5 blocks away from Harris Square and Twin Steps. Yeah, this is our place. At the time, I was a junior foreman working with my team to manage inventory. There was a wide variety of people on our team, from young kids who were working through college to people twice my age who had worked at warehouses for decades. All of them were reasonably polite, but the strangest one was a man named Charles Backert. He liked to keep to himself, never really talked much, never really asked for anything. He really wouldn't socialize with the other workers, but he always did his job diligently without complaint. The weirdest thing I remember about him is that he always wore the same clothes. It took me a while to notice, because it wasn't like he'd come in dirty or they'd start smelling. But then one day I noticed a frayed thread on his shirt collar, and the next day I realized it was still there. His pants were the same ones, too. Every night he would go home with them covered in dirt and dust from the warehouse, and every morning they'd be spotless. I approached him one day and had a one-to-one where I asked him if he needed financial assistance. We had a few company programs, and I was even willing to buy him clothes out of pocket. But he politely declined, and the next day he came in with a new set of clothes. Then one day, he just snapped. I have no idea what happened. There was this young kid, Marco, just tired, eager to learn the ropes. I had him working with Charles that night. I don't think Marco would have said anything to set him off, but the next thing I know, they're screaming from the section they were both working in. I ran over as quickly as I could, and many others did too. And there was Charles, just attacking Marco with his utility knife. I was terrified Charles was going to kill Marco, so I ran up to him to try to grab him, but then he started attacking me too. A fight broke out. Other people from the team came to help, and one of them pushed Charles. To this day I have no idea who did it. Charles hit one of the warehouse shelves hard, and a large pallet of heavy stereo equipment came crashing down on him. The pallet crushed his arm, and his head hit the floor hard. There was blood everywhere. We called the paramedics, but by the time they showed up, it was too late. It was horrifying, but that was just the start of the nightmare. It all started when I went in the next day, and we had a couple of higher-ups at the company hold a meeting where we were all expressly told not to talk about Charles's death. I thought that was really weird, but when I asked why, I got a roundabout excuse that it was to preserve company morale. There's never a newsletter or a company bulletin or anything about the death, just a vague reminder on safety that probably seemed to anyone who didn't know what happened like a standard empty corporate email. I figured it was the company trying to keep things low-key to save face, but it never really sat right with me. Almost immediately, weird stuff started happening at the warehouse. Large, heavy pallets that had been secured for months would randomly fall from the shelves. The forklift we had since opening the warehouse suddenly started acting up, not turning in the direction you told it to, the hydraulics suddenly failing, strange, jerky motions. The warehouse lights would flicker and sometimes fail, seemingly for no reason. It made working there a bit of a nightmare, and it seemed like there was always some sort of incident that fell on me to resolve. Things started slowly escalating, too. It went from pallets falling off the shelves to seemingly being thrown across the warehouse. One time we heard a crash, and a pallet of monitors had fallen an aisle over from where it had been stored, as if it had teleported somehow. We would hear yells and screams echo through the warehouse, especially when the lights failed, even when everyone there that night was accounted for and in the same room together. Marco was convinced he was being haunted. He said he'd seen Charles in the mirror, and one time he caught a glimpse of him standing in the corner of the warehouse when the lights were off, only to disappear when they came back on. He started seeing Charles more and more frequently, especially when the incidents happened. He quit after the forklift I mentioned earlier nearly took his head off when it fell over with its forks extended. We're talking about a 5-ton empty forklift being tipped over seemingly out of nowhere. The final straw at the warehouse was when a shelf collapsed, destroying a bunch of expensive merchandise and nearly killing 2 other employees. An investigation was launched, and it looked like someone had just disassembled the shelf instantly, with every single nut and bolt properly unscrewed, and no other reason for the collapse. I don't need to tell you it would have been physically impossible to do that, and no one had any explanation for how it happened. We eventually decided to close down the warehouse. The official reason was poor performance and too much employee turnover and damaged merchandise. But I was approached by corporate officials and offered a promotion if I kept my mouth shut and kept all of this on the down low. It was a promotion with a hefty bonus, too. I couldn't exactly say no. However, that's when Charles started following me. I finally saw him in a bathroom mirror one of my last days at the old warehouse. It was the first time I had seen Charles's ghost, or a ghost of any kind for that matter. He appeared behind me for a brief moment, his arm twisted and mangled and his head bleeding, and then the lights flickered, and he vanished. I figured it was just a brief hallucination brought on by stress, or just Marco's stories and the weird warehouse incidents getting the better of me. However, it then started happening when I was at home. In the bathroom, I'd catch glimpses of Charles in the mirror, or out of the corner of my eye when I was walking past alleys. One time, I saw a man walking out in the rain one night, and when I took a closer look, I realized he had a mangled arm. It was Charles. One time, I had a nightmare that I was being crushed by boxes, and when I woke up, I was paralyzed and I could see Charles at the foot of my bed, staring at me with an intense gaze. That was the first time he spoke to me. All he said is, "They must know." That's all he ever says to me. The hauntings got worse. I went on the internet for help and tried everything. Cleansings, saging my home, spreading salt, Ouija boards, misting my doorway with holy water. I even talked to a priest who was supposed to be an expert at exorcisms. I'm not a very religious man, but I was desperate at that point. Finally, at the end of my rope, I tried to look into Charles's death. I thought things couldn't get weird enough, but the more I dove into my investigation, the stranger things got. At first, I tried to find out what happened with Charles, and if the company ever took care of his family. We were not supposed to do this, but I dug up Charles's old file. I had to hunt down an old paper copy, because all the electronic records had been mysteriously deleted. I called his emergency contact, but it turned out to be an out-of-service number. The person's address turned out to be fake too, and I have a feeling the name was made up as well. One of my old friends from college was a private investigator, so I hired him to look into this deeper. He dug up some even more unsettling stuff. Apparently, Charles's house was nearly empty, with only a few pairs of clothes, a TV, and a computer. No personal photos, no decorations, no food, no pets, and hardly any furniture. The man's will named no beneficiaries, and simply asked for everything he owned to be donated to charity. Apparently, he had over $800,000 saved up, sitting in a bank account that he hardly ever used. Any record of the man prior to 5 years ago when he started working with Neostar didn't seem to exist. Police, coronary reports, and hospital records of his death were also destroyed shortly after the incident. No news reports or obituaries were written for the man either. It seemed like something was up, and we were digging up a strange conspiracy that ran deeper than Neostar. Then, my friend suddenly died during his investigation. Apparently it was a car crash, but given how much seems to be covered up about Charles's death, I have a feeling there's more to the story, like he found out something he wasn't supposed to know. Or maybe I'm just being paranoid at this point. That's where I am today. I haven't been able to make any more progress on my investigation without my friend, and I'm still being haunted by Charles on the regular. Though, ever since I started my investigation, he seems to be much less violent. He shows up randomly, telling me that they must know. I'm not sure what to do anymore at this point, so I figured I'd share my story. That's why I included his full name earlier in this post. Maybe whoever they are will know. Maybe this will help, or maybe something will happen to me now too. Either way, I felt the need to share. And that's the end of the post. This was posted about a year ago, and hasn't gotten any updates since. Damn, I'm having a hard time believing this is real, but the details match. The old man, the mangled arm, the abandoned warehouse, Neostar, everything fits. Yeah, I guess this ghost of yours is Charles Backert then. An old man with a mangled arm. Sounds like the guy. I have no idea why he attacked you, though. Maybe it has something to do with that thing you tried to pick up. You're going back in to check it out? Are you crazy? Yeah, I know I said I didn't believe in ghosts, but after that story, and what you said you saw... Why does it matter what the ghost wants? I don't want you getting hurt going back in there. You heard what Charles is capable of. Well, yes, I guess that's true, but... Hey, wait. What's wrong? Are you okay? In your rearview mirror? We'll get out of there then. Your car won't start. Hang on. I'm coming to get you. Stay on the line. I'll...